Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jimmy, and today we'll take a look at all of the settings to change immediately the moment you get yourself the Galaxy A35 5G. Now what's fun about this video is that you're able to see everything I do in order, not in order of importance, but exactly in order of what I do with every single brand new Samsung Galaxy device out there. And also, what is helpful is that everything I share in this video will also help with any other Samsung device out there. Now before we go into all of the settings that I change, I'm just going to go through and assume that you've already turned on the phone, you've logged in with your Gmail, Samsung account, and put in all your biometrics. This is the rest of everything else. Now, the first thing that I normally change right out of the box will be the display settings. There is a few things inside of here that I have to change immediately. One of those is going from light mode over into dark mode, so this way you're able to save battery life, and I just think it's a little bit easier on the eyes to see and read everything. Also, as you scroll down for screen timeout for my personal, normal, every single day life, 30 seconds is a little bit too quick. Sometimes I like to set the phone down, maybe stir some pasta, come back, and it's already timed out. For me, I put it right around 2 minutes, and it also works perfect here for YouTube, so this way I can keep the screen showing what I'm kind of explaining, and this way it doesn't time out and I don't have to tap the screen every 30 seconds. So after you've done those two things, you're able to scroll down, and here's the navigation bar. Now, you may love the navigation bar, but one thing that I do suggest, if you've never tried it, is the swipe gestures. So if you haven't played with swipe gestures before, swiping from the left or the right hand side will take you back a screen, and then swiping up from the bottom will take you to your home page. And if you want to see your recent applications, you just swipe up and hold, and then they will all sit right here. So now that you've made your changes with your display, now you're looking at your home screen, and there's a few things to change as well here. So first off, you have a widget that's just sitting right in the middle. Normally I place mine on the upper left hand side. It just makes sense to me at least. Also, I delete that widget because it's not the one that I'm a big fan of. All you have to do is scroll all the way down, and if you don't know how to do this, you just press and hold anywhere on the screen that's empty. You tap on widgets. You scroll down, and on the very bottom is where you see weather. And then the one that I use personally will be the one right over here. It's the very last one. You tap this, and then you hit on add. And with this one, you can make it a little bit smaller if you want to, which is pretty much where I like to have mine sit. And also too, you have this little Google widget over here. I don't need it to take up a whole entire line. And this right here is pretty close to what I would use. It kind of depends on the screen size you have. You'll either use this one or the one right below it. So this way you still have the little G you can tap on, take you into Google, but then you also have this little bar here that you can tap and you're able to start searching. So this way, if you want to add in, let's say maybe one of your folders right here later on, you're able to do that so you have a little bit more space. Now, still looking at your home pages, what you'll see down here is a little bar, and basically this is a quick access in order for you to get into your Samsung wallet. Now, right now you can see that this bar down here looks a little bit different than right here. This is just kind of a little bar on this extra home screen over here, just letting you know, hey, you can swipe up to go home. And when it makes this little change, this is going to go into your quick access to use, a payment card or one of your membership cards. And how you're able to get rid of this, or at least keep it on a screen you want it to be, all you have to do is open it up, hit on all. On the top right hand side, this is where you tap on those three dots, you hit on settings, and it'll be this right here called quick access. So now you're pretty much able to see where you want it to be shown, and you have it on the lock screen, your home screen, and even when the screen is off. So pretty much for this one, I'm just going to turn it off because I don't need it to have a quick access on every single page. And so now it's gone, and you're just left with this normal little bar on the very bottom, just letting you know that this is, an area that you can swipe up to take you back to your home. Now, the fourth change that I like to do is customize it to my own uniqueness. And so when you pull down, you take a look at your quick settings or your full settings right here. Also in a few other applications, it's just kind of a plain little looking thing with the color of white. Now, I want to change this. So what you can do is you can press and hold again on your background or on your home screen. This is where you go inside of your wallpaper and style. And all you have to do is just go to color palette and turn it on. And when I mentioned that it works with other applications as well, this is where you can see that it works, in the dial pad with your quick settings and also with the calculator and a few additional things. Now it's all being based off of your wallpaper. So as you go through, you can actually change this. You can see what it looks like. This is actually one that I use all the time, is this little, basic colors right here with a little bit of greens. And then you also have this option here too. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can make your phone, be its own unique self and mimic whatever background you have. So if you want it to kind of go, this color right here is, more of a purpley color. So pretty much what is going to happen is, because I have a purplish background, I can go with a purplish accented color, based off the color palette. And so now when you go inside of your phone, you use the dial pad, you go inside of your calculator, you pull down, it's going to look a little different. So on my Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, I believe I have it on the green option. And then it has pretty much all the green accents everywhere. So for this one, I'm going to keep it as this purple, so it kind of matches the phone. Change number 5 is one that's really bothering me currently, and that is the transition from screen to screen to screen, or the transition from window to window to window. It just takes too long for you to get in and out and go home. I would rather have my phone be much quicker and snappier. All you have to do is go inside of your settings. You're going to scroll all the way down, and what you're going to do is unlock developer options, so you can change all the transition window speeds. So you want to go inside of your About Phone. And then when you go inside of your software information, what you want to do here is find your build a number. You tap build a number 7 times. And since I have a PIN, I'm going to type in my PIN. And now that you've unlocked developer mode, you go back 2 pages and you have developer options sitting on the very bottom. So once you go inside of here, all you got to do is just make sure it's turned on. As you scroll on down, you're going to find 3 options. They're all right next to each other. And it's talking about the window animation scale. I usually put it at the 0.5. And then the transition animation scale, as well as the animator duration scale as well. So to kind of show you what is happening, you can see how quick this screen is popping up. So if I tap on this screen or this little window right here, it's coming up very, very quick. Now, if I put it at the 5x, which originally out of the box, it's 1x, I just want to show you what it's doing with animations and how much longer it takes for you to just kind of move around your phone. I wouldn't really suggest turning all of the animations off, because sometimes that may cause a few bugs. Because what happens is, let's say that you press and hold on some of these applications, they kind of bounce and move. And if you turn off all the animations, this is not happening, and you may run into some issues. Now I finally go inside of the camera, and this is where I make a few changes as well. Now, when you make any changes with settings, what I would suggest is make sure you're on photo, and then you want to make sure that you're on the back camera lenses, because what this does is when you go inside of settings, every single thing will be highlighted that you're able to change. Now what happens is, let's say that you go to your front-facing camera. One of the things is you might notice that some of these are, grayed out. Or if you went over inside of video and then you go inside of your settings, you'll also notice a few things, grayed out as well. So it's a way to make sure that when you're making all your changes, you have all the options to make the changes when your camera is on the rear camera and it's just on photo. Now, with that out of the way, on the very top, I usually like to take my photos and videos with 9:16. Now, out of the box, this one is sitting with a 3:4. The only thing with me is that if I take a video or picture in 3:4, it doesn't fit the screen you're actually watching right now on YouTube. YouTube is a 9:16 setup, and so if I do 3:4, it doesn't fill the entire screen. Also, what it does for me, at least, is that it kind of scrunches a few things. So first off, when you take a look at this image here, there is actually more within the image. You can see the railing, the entire couch, you can see that the whole table is right there as well. But with this one here, you can see that there is no railing. There's a little bit of the couch kind of missing, but my table is actually more wide. Now, this is more accurate of a photo than my 3:4. If you see here, especially when you do put it in landscape mode and you upload it to websites, even though it can bring more in, it kind of condenses it, and you're not taking a picture of what you see in your eyes. This is more realistic to me, and especially if I want to use this as a thumbnail, I can. If I try to use this as a thumbnail, I then have to try to crop this out, and everything is just disproportioned. This table is more rectangular than something that's more skinny. So this is one of those things when it comes down to the camera. If you're doing video or a picture, some people love doing 3:4 just because it just fits on Instagram immediately. And then if you have 9:16, it kind of gets cropped out anyways. But, it's just whatever you use your phone for the most. In my life, I always usually like to have the 9x16. And then right next to that, this is where you can change the quality. If you want it to be 12 megapixel or 50 megapixel, just know that when you go to 50 megapixel, it's bringing in more data, but you're not able to do any of your zooms. So this way, if you keep it on 12 millimeter or the 12 megapixel, you can have your 0.5, the 1x, and the 2. Now, it's the same thing with the video. So even though you changed a few things with your photo, you still have to go to your video and you have to make the changes here. So here's your 9x16, the 1x1, or the full. Now, this is where I do actually change the quality so it's a little bit better. And I'm going to put it over into the Ultra HD 30 frames per second. But just as a heads up, if you wanted the full HD with 60 frames per second, you can do that as well. It makes it very, very smooth. But I would rather just have it at the Ultra HD 30 frame per second. So that's pretty much what I would do here on this phone when it comes down to the setup is 9x16 Ultra HD at 30 frames per second. In the photo, for me at least, I like the 9x16 over the 3x4. Now, the other thing when it comes down to the camera settings, you just want to make sure that when you take a look at this option down here for save selfies as preview, this is one of the things that really bother me when I watch other people's videos or pictures is that there is wording or just them are reversed. So you want to make sure that this is turned off, because if you say save selfies as previewed, whatever you are previewing or whatever you view on the screen is the way it will end up. So for example, when you have it turned off, it'll look like this. So let's say that you have something in your hand or you're in front of a building, you can actually read everything without it having to be backwards. So if you watch people doing Instagram or little TikToks or reels or shorts and they're wearing a shirt or a hat or tattoos and everything is in reverse, it's super distracting, and it's because they are saving it as preview when you might as well keep everything where it's actually, readable and normal. And now for feature number 7, I love to watch videos. I love listening to music. So you have to change the sound profile on your Samsung phone. Now, out of the box, everything is flat. So what you want to do is head inside of your settings. This is where you go inside of your sounds and vibrations. Then as you scroll down, this is where you go to sound quality and effects. Now, here's the thing. If you've never changed this, and then you now changed it, especially after using your phone for a month or two, or maybe a few weeks, you'll notice a huge difference when you actually turn on your Dolby Atmos, and then you head over into equalizer, and you can either move it over into rock or custom. So I always switch mine over into rock, and I make sure that Dolby Atmos is turned on. So this way you actually have nice sounding stereo speakers. So sometimes if you take a look at a phone immediately out of the box and you don't think it sounds that great, simply change one of the settings and now you're having a much better listening experience. Feature number 8 is dealing with the lock screen. So all you have to do is go into the lock screen, and what you want to do is press and hold on the lock screen. Then you can unlock it. Now this is where you can add in or change a few things. Now one of the things I suggest is adding in widgets. Now this phone here, if you're watching the video, you probably have the Galaxy A35. It is shipped with Samsung One UI 6.1, which gives you the option to have these little lock screen widgets. Now you can only choose 2 of them to sit on the inside. So I'm going to choose that one. And then we'll scroll on down. We'll take a look maybe at Samsung Health or clock. I mean, we already have clock. We don't need the calendar. So I'm going to do the Samsung Health. And let's say that we want to just do this little daily activity. And now you have 2 things sitting inside of there. Now, if this is something that you don't want, then you're actually able into just, hitting that little delete button. Then you can take a look at what this one looks like. So I believe this is what my Galaxy S24 Ultra is set up as. So beyond the widgets, what you also have is you can change the wallpaper. You can put in some contact info or just a funny greeting. You can tap on phone or camera and you can change which shortcuts you want on the bottom. And then whenever you're done with the settings changes, then you just hit on done. So now the changes are here and you can see my 2 active widgets. Setting number 9 to change is dealing with biometrics. Now I stated at the beginning of the video that I assume you already turned on the phone, you logged in with your Gmail, Samsung account, and then you put in your lock screen or face recognition, fingerprint. Well, there are a few settings that you can actually look through if you went through it way too quick. Now you might think that you want to go inside of your lock screen and always on display so you can take a look at some of your lock types. But what you want to do is go right here for the security and privacy. And then inside of security and privacy, this is where you go down and you take a look at biometrics. This is where you can change some of the little nuanced settings for face recognition and fingerprint. So now I'm going to put in my PIN so I can show you some of the settings. Now, once inside of the screen here, you can see a few of these different options, and maybe you saw it when you set it up, or maybe you just went right through it and you didn't do anything. But basically right here, you can turn on or off your face unlock. This right here is stay on lock screen until swipe, which I think is counterproductive, just because, you know, if you already looked at the phone, that means you're probably trying to unlock it. And so then this way, what happens is if you turn this on now, that means that once you unlock it with your face, it will actually not get into your phone until you swipe it. Now, the next thing is require eyes open. So, you know, if you are trying to maybe sleep and you don't want your person next to you putting the phone right in front of your face to unlock it, at least you have to now have the eyes open to be required to get the thing unlocked. Now, here's the thing that I usually make sure is turned off will be the brighten screen, especially if you're in a movie theater or you're trying to lay in bed at night. Maybe it's 11 o'clock, maybe it's midnight, your partner's right next to you. If you have this thing turned on, it'll be an immediate bright light to try to capture your face to get it unlocked. So for me at that point, I just use my fingerprint or a pin, and sometimes it actually does pick up my face, you know, when it is dark. But, you know, this is just more of an issue having it turned on, you know, especially if you're in a dark room. You don't want to have a really bright light coming in and affecting yourself and other people. Now let's take a look at all of those little settings inside of fingerprints. So for this one, this is where you can rename your fingerprint. Also, you can either have it on or off. Fingerprint always on, that just means that even when the screen is off, if you just put your thumb where the fingerprint scanner is, it'll unlock it for you. You also will have the show icon when the screen is off, so you can have it on for the always on display, tap to show or never, so whichever one of those make the sense. Also, show animation when unlocking. I'm not a big fan of animations, as you guys saw from earlier. I usually turn them off. I don't need to have a little animation coming to let me know I unlocked it. I already know it's unlocked because it's unlocking. So now what it looks like is when you put your fingerprint on the scan, it's just going to unlock. It will not do that little animation, the little circle thing, and put all the colors. It just goes in immediately. Setting change number 10 is dealing with your battery and also protecting it. So you can go right inside of battery right there in settings, or you can also go inside of device care, whichever place is more fast and convenient for you. But once you go inside of battery, what you can see inside of here is this battery protection. So with battery protection, there's a couple different things you can do. This is mostly helping you when you are sleeping. Some people love charging their phone at night. Even if it's sitting at 90%, they're going to charge it up. It'll be fully charged, but then they're still sleeping for an additional 7 hours. So basic just means when your battery is charged to 100%, charging will stop until the battery level drops down to 95, and then charging will start again. Now the one that I use is called adaptive, and if you got the phone brand new, adaptive doesn't work right away. It takes about 5 or 7 days to learn, but what it does is it's using this maximum, which is your battery will stop charging when it reaches 80%. But because it's adaptive, what it'll do is it'll go up to 80% and then switch to basic before you wake up, which means as you're sleeping, several hours into it, it'll stop at 80%. It'll wait till you're almost waking up. It knows your schedule, it knows your alarm, and then basically it'll start to charge about an hour before you wake up, or maybe 40 minutes before you wake up, to get you to 100% by the time that you get out of bed. Now, since we're still in this screen, we're gonna go inside of power saving, but instead of turning it on the top right-hand side, I go to adaptive power save, and then I turn this one on. So basically, it will be learning my usage patterns, knowing when to have it either as standard or power save. Now, normally what this will do for me is that a lot of times I don't charge my phone overnight. I charge it before I go to bed. And as it's sitting on the little end table or, you know, my nightstand, what'll happen is as I'm going to bed, it knows I'm sleeping. It'll actually go into power saving mode for me. And then as I wake up, it usually kicks out of it and it goes back to standard. Setting change number 11 is dealing with the side key. So some people call this one the power button, but because it does so much more than just turn your phone on or off or go to reset, it actually does other things as well. But because most people don't really use Bixby that often, so if you press and hold, it opens up Bixby. All you'd have to do to change that is when you pull down twice, you hit on the little power button. That's how you're able to turn it off, if you want to keep that as the Bixby button. But this is where you go to side button settings. And so if you do a double press, it'll open up the camera, or you can, completely change it to any other app to be opened. But here's the press and hold. Here's your power off menu. So this way, if you wanted to go back to the normal power off menu, almost act as a, the power button when it's press and held, then it takes you right here to restart, go, power off, emergency call. And you also have your medical information. So this way, if you want to fill this out, so in case if something happens to you, you're not able to respond or speak, they're able to, take a look at some, vital information about you on what they can or can't do. Setting change number 12 is dealing with the optimization of your phone, because some people, they actually leave the phone on forever. It never turns off, it never restarts, and then you start bogging it down and you give it a little bit of problems and issues. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that this thing is being restarted on the regular. Just like a normal laptop or computer or TV, you never leave it running 24/7. So all you'd have to do is go inside your settings, go to device care, and then as you scroll down, you'll see underneath performance, you have auto optimization. So all you would have to do is when you have the auto restart, it can be basically restart when needed, or you can do a restart on schedule. So you can do it like pretty much every, we'll say Saturday and maybe Tuesday, and then it'll be done on a Tuesday and Saturday at 3 a.m. when you should be sleeping. So when you wake up on those days, you pretty much just have to put in your PIN or password again to get into the device. Setting change number 13, now that you've kind of done the majority of stuff on your phone, now it's kind of getting into the little small stuff, and that would be some of these little quick settings on the very top. Now, some of these you may use or maybe not use. You can also take a look at this screen here. Some of these you might not use as much as what could be sitting over here. Now, all you have to do is when you pull it down twice, you have your little edit button, and it actually shows you, which screen you are editing. The one that is the quick one with just, 6 of them showing, or the full list. When you tap on edit, this is where you can tap on any of these little negative buttons. It'll take them off, and then you can put something else in its place. So the whole auto, rotate, mine is always on auto rotate. And so now what you can actually add in is maybe the eye comfort shield, or one of the other ones that I use all the time is the extra dim. So in this way, once you hit on done, now that's what's going to look like when you actually pull it down, is you'll actually see the extra dim there rather than the whole auto rotate. Once it's on, you're good to go. Now, it's pretty much the exact same thing when you go to this screen here. This is where you can just move some stuff around. The bottom down here are a few that are actually not showing up here at all. So if there's any of these that you know for a fact you're not going to use, like maybe link to Windows or scan QR code, or multi-control or anything like that, you're able to actually take them off, and then you can bring in what you would actually use. So for some of these down on the very bottom, take screenshot might be a very fast and easy way to simply tap the screen or a little button to take it. Extra dim is definitely one of those that you want to have up there, or at least that's one that I always use all the time. If you use NFC, you can bring it on up. Same thing with all the rest of these, always on display. Kids mode, battery protection, sound notifications. So if that all kind of looks good to you, then all you have to do is when you take a look at this first page, the scan QR code is probably one of those that I don't really care about. So with that one being last, I can just press and hold here, and then I can move it over into its spot. And now that one moved over into this page. And so now I got my most important ones sitting right there. And that's pretty much all you would really need to do when it comes down over into your quick little settings. Setting change number 14 is if you play games, and so instead of having your games not only in the application tray or maybe in the home screen, but you can actually just have it all sit right here inside of Gaming Hub. And Gaming Hub is also a place where you can discover other games as well. So right here it says show games or show game apps in Game Hub only. So I would rather only have them just show up right here. So with having all of your games sitting in just one spot, you can see that there's a few games sitting inside of there. And instead of it cluttering your application tray, you can see it cleaned it up. Those apps are not sitting there. And also too, if you had any of them sitting on any of your home screens, then this way they're all just actually sitting in one little spot right here. And you can also take a look at more applications or more games if you like to take a look at it. Some of these are also instant plays, so you're able to play them immediately rather than going through and actually downloading the full entire thing. Setting change number 15 is dealing with your volume rocker. So immediately out of the box, it will only change your media volume. But if you tap on those three dots and then you tap on settings, this is where you can turn it off. So this way, if you would like to change your phone's, ringer to a very loud ringer, or you want to put it into vibrate, or if you want to put it into silent, then you're actually able now to use your volume rocker to do that. And then anytime that you're listening to music or watching YouTube, when you use your volume rocker, now you're changing the sound of the volume. So if you ever head back into your home screen, then it's just going to be changing it into vibrate, ringer, or silent. Now, the very last thing is dealing with the full customization of your folders, your applications. Pretty much I always have a folder that is called Every Day, and then I put in all the applications that I use on a daily basis in there, and I place it onto the home screen. The other thing, along with, moving around your applications, creating folders, is when you take a look at your settings and you look at your home screen grid. Now, for me, I usually like to have it to be a little bit larger so I have more things to place on the home screen, so I don't have to use more home screen. So I don't have to keep switching to a different home screen to another home screen. So again, this is where you can move all your applications, move your folders. You can change your app or your application screen here or your app tray, and you can also change all of your home screens. Now take a look at this. This is how it's set up originally, is that I have all these applications and it takes up 2 screens. Now, one thing that you might notice here is that I did change the screen grid for the application tray, but not everything is sitting in one screen. What you can do is actually just called clean up pages. Now, once you go to clean up pages, it puts it all into one page. So this way you don't have to swipe between all your different application trays. But also too, now next up will be sort. And then you can put it into alphabetical order. So this way, as you go on down, you have everything all condensed into one screen and everything is in alphabetical order. So you just have so much more room, so much more space to play around, place your applications and folders. And again, if you have an additional home screen, do a little pinch to zoom. You're able to hit that little delete button. And then as you go right up over here, you're right back down to however many screens you would like to use. So that is everything that I wanted to cover in today's video. That is everything that I do with all of my phones every single time that I get a brand new device. Hopefully maybe you learned something. Also, it's pretty much in order of everything because as I'm going through all of the setting changes, I'm also adding in all my applications. And then at the very end, that's where I put everything where I want them to sit. I create my folders, I make my application tray looks good, I make my screen grid look good, and now you just have your device that just makes your life so much easier. So hopefully you guys appreciated this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe on the very bottom left-hand side. And if you like this video, then more than likely you'll also like this video. And I'll see you guys later.